Welcome back to Peer-Guided DBT Lessons, provided by DBT Skills Application, Peers Helping Peers. This week's lesson, marked 1-7 in our Mindfulness module, we'll be looking at the middle path. Please keep in mind that we're simply peers helping peers, working together to bring about more peaceful, constructive, and ultimately happier lives. In other words, a life worth living. The middle path. Humans have been asking themselves, and even one another, for centuries, which way is the right way? Which way is wisest? Which path will take me where I want to be? These ancient echoes have rung out since the dawn of time, and through questions and considerations like these, humans have been accumulating wisdom. Even our classification is clarified by our need for wisdom. We are Homo sapiens, and the word sapiens comes from the Latin root word sapient, which means to be wise. The middle path is about balance. It is the release from our polarized, total black and white way of thinking. This kind of thinking is especially common with emotionally sensitive people, but all of the human race struggles to some degree with polarization. So tell me, where should I go? To the left where nothing is right, or to the right where nothing is left? Be moderate in order to taste the joys of life in abundance. Epicurus. So let's take a look at opposite personality traits. Both sides of perceivable opposites are qualities we all carry within us. Our tendency to identify with a particular quality and lean away from its apparent opposite is caused by our limited past experiences. To identify with one opposite while denying its partner causes a lopsided deformity in the whole of the personality. When we unfetter ourselves from our temporary identifications and programmed tendencies, we can realize that we are neither this nor that. Contemplating all aspects of our personalities and equally embracing both sides of seemingly opposite qualities, we find a freedom from our self-expectations and the flexibility to experiment to find our middle path. Relationships. Walking the middle path means we are letting go of our either-or way of thinking and adopting a and or both way of thinking. All too often we process our conceived realities using a black and white filter. Without looking at any other perspectives, we make up our minds about how we feel about something, then take a stance to defend our point of view. When we do not agree with someone, it may be natural to believe that we are right and they are wrong. If we approach our way of thinking with a dialectical view, we can realize that there is more than one way to view things. Walking the middle path allows room to compromise. By releasing our hold on the belief that either I am right or they are right, and replacing that with a new belief that I am right and they are right, both at the same time, we open our eyes to see different perspectives. Who knows what is good or bad? Walking the middle path frees us from those defining labels of good versus bad that we frequently attribute to the effect of specific situations we experience. It is so easy to view an event in our lives as divinely wonderful or as a horrifying disaster when seen only through how it makes us feel at that moment. But who knows if a single event is actually good or bad? An ancient fable passed on through countless centuries may help us to put these labels into perspective and shines a light of wisdom from long ago onto them. This story is among the oldest of any of the folk tales that have survived the test of time, being so old that the origin has been completely lost to us. It has survived over 2,000 years because its concepts of wisdom still have the ability to totally change a person's view of life. The story of the farmer and his horse. There was an old man who lived near a tiny village. He lived on a poor farm with his only son. In fact, his most valuable possession was a single workhorse. One day the man's horse ran away. His neighbor, after hearing of the farmer's loss, visits him to commiserate. He tells the farmer how sorry he was to hear about his misfortune. The farmer replied, "Is it? Who knows what is good or bad? We shall see." The next day the farmer's horse returned, but he did not come back alone. He came home accompanied by 12 strong, wild, feral horses. His neighbor heard the news and came back to visit to share in the old farmer's celebration. He said to the poor man, "How wonderful! Congratulations on your great fortune." Again the farmer replied, "Is it? Who knows what is good or bad? We shall see." The following day the son of the farmer decides to begin the taming of one of those wild horses. As he attempts to ride it, he is thrown from the horse to the ground. The son suffered a broken leg as a result of his fall. After hearing of the accident, the neighbor returned saying, "How tragic! I am so sorry about your son." The farmer repeats his reply, "Is it? Who knows what is good or bad? We shall see." Unexpectedly, the very next day, military officers came through their local village to draft all the young, able-bodied men into the service to fight in the war. Because the farmer's son was no longer able-bodied due to his broken leg, he was exempt from their draft. The neighbor came once again, congratulating the farmer for his son being spared. He said, "What a stroke of luck! How fortunate!" Once again, the farmer replied, "Is it? Who knows what is good or bad? We shall see." The moral of the story: events in our lives are normally not all positive or all negative in their repercussions. When we think in polarized terms, all or nothing, black or white, good or bad, we focus on one extreme or the other. When we focus on only what we deem positive or what we deem negative, we limit our emotional and cognitive flexibility. To continue walking the middle path, we must remember that often there are both negative and positive consequences as a result of the same event. Think about how often we hear the phrase, "Be careful what you wish for." We can't know in advance the repercussions if our wish came true. It is rare that we can see both the possible destructive forces and the beauty of any event immediately and at the same time. The middle path can help us change our perceptions, releasing us from thinking in extremes. Realizing that nothing is all good or all bad can decrease suffering. Who knows what is good or bad? It just is. Finding wise mind is another way that we can walk the middle path. As the balance of the states of mind where reasonable mind and emotion mind meet in the middle, and as the balance of the modes of mind where being mind and doing mind meet in the middle. Wise mind is the balance between reasonable mind and emotion mind. It is the middle way. Wise mind takes into account logical thinking and emotions to make wise decisions, and doesn't let either overtake or overshadow the other. It then adds something more, a sense of calmness and wisdom, intuition. The core sense of wise mind involves a deep sense of intuitive knowing. In this sense, intuition goes beyond reason and what is perceived by the senses. And now, wise mind. It's important to note that wise mind mode is not a compromise between opposites. It is a deeply personal experience, an ideal synthesis of being mind and doing mind, both in effective balance. In wise mind, we can fully feel emotions and fully think rationally. We have self-denial and self-indulgence. We have acceptance and desire change. We have mental quiet and automatic thinking. Due to our individual uniqueness and our personal circumstances, we each need to find a synthesis that works for us. We need to do what works, what is the most effective to find our balance, even if it goes against our urges to just react. Balance. If you're out of balance in one area of your life, you are out of balance. Relate to your life as a whole, which it is, with all the individual areas working side by side in unison. Balance in life is like the domino effect. If you lose balance in one domino or area of your life, it will throw the other dominoes or areas out of balance too. Many people excessively concentrate so much of their energies into one area of their lives that they ignore many of the other aspects of the whole. It is a universal principle that this will eventually catch up with them. This type of imbalance ultimately will lead to emotional instability or illness. If you compare the separate areas of your life to the individual strings of a guitar, working side by side in unison to create an expression of itself, it can become clearer how if one area is out of balance, so is the whole. We could correlate the 6 guitar strings to the 6 central areas of our lives. Starting with number 1, physical well-being. Some people completely disregard the needs of their body. These are the ones who do not go to the doctor even when they know they're sick, or they go but do not follow through with their physician's recommendations. These are the ones who don't pay attention to their dietary and exercise needs. Others are so obsessed with diet and exercise that they're unable to allow themselves to take a break. These may be those who cannot go out to dinner with others and allow themselves to enjoy the experience because they feel so rigidly locked into their diets and only eat what is exceptionally good for them. Some also exercise so often and so rigorously that they can't miss a session even if they are ill or have injured themselves. Perhaps these people can't go on a vacation or enjoy time with others because it interferes with their exercise routine. Number 2, employment gratification and financial security. Some people take this beyond what is needed for security and comfortable survival. These are the people who believe that they have not been successful unless they have climbed to the top of the ladder in the job they have chosen. Others that fit into this extreme may be those who feel that they have to keep putting their all in working until they have a higher income and more assets to show for it than their neighbor. Perhaps they take this too far because they need to keep going until they feel honored and valued by their employer. Whatever the cause, these people put everything they have into their jobs, often working so many hours that they ignore their friends and family. They are the ones who always are ready to do a little more at work and don't feel the need to take time for a break. Number 3, leisure time. Others do as little as possible to survive. Many of these feel that if it is not something fun, it's not worth their time and effort. Some of these people are content to spend most of their waking hours watching TV, playing video games, or some other immobile entertainment. The extreme of this would be those who are so unwilling to work that they would rather allow those they are responsible for to go without the necessities of life than work to provide for them. People who function in this extreme tend to be self-centered and selfish. Number 4, spirituality. We might ask, how can anyone take their spirituality too far? This is not a matter of how dedicated to our beliefs and values we feel, but rather how we act upon them. A spouse can be so centered on their personal spirituality that they seem to forget that they have also made vows of dedication to their mate. A parent may be so involved and active in matters of their own spirituality that they forget to provide for the needs of their children. This is not a matter of holding tightly to your beliefs. This is about putting those above all other needs and obligations in life. The other extreme is also not simply a matter of what a person believes or does not believe. It is more about how strongly they hold their values and beliefs, along with those basic accepted values of society. Valuelessness, rather than unspiritual, may be a better label for the opposite of over-spiritual. This is not to say that these people do not have values, but rather that they are easily swayed to compromise them. Number 5, emotional health. One extreme could be the person who is so concerned about their own mental or emotional well-being that rather than allowing themselves to feel any pain or stress, they choose instead to not work on their personal problems. Consider those who protect themselves from emotional distress, even if by doing so they force someone else to cope with the stress instead. These people may consider that shielding themselves from the pain a form of caring for their emotional health. The other extreme of this would be the person who does nothing to care for their mental health. These people would rather not be bothered putting the energy into concern for it. Frequently, these will be the people who turn to drugs or alcohol to avoid that there may be a problem. They are also frequently the same ones who do not take care of their physical health, which only compounds their original problems. And now, number 6, relationships. The extreme of this is when a person is willing to give up their own wants, needs, and values just to keep a relationship. Sometimes these people choose to stay in abusive situations for the sake of that relationship. They may even sacrifice other relationships that are important to them in order to hold on to another relationship they also feel is important to them. The other extreme of this would be someone who wants a relationship, but only on their terms. They may expect someone else to sacrifice things that matter to that person, if it's needed to ensure that the all about me person gets their way. These are people who may be abusive. They feel entitled. Harmony. Practice as a daily mindfulness exercise tuning these 6 areas of your life as you would tune the strings of an instrument you play daily. Invest a little time each day to examine the strings of your life. Explore which strings need to be tightened and how much, and which ones need to be loosened and to what degree. Living in the middle path will not only produce a sense of wholeness, but also a deep inner peace. Perfect balance is in the middle. It means not too little, not too much. When you make a commitment to fine-tune your instrument on a daily schedule, it may just astound you how perfect balance will create a harmonious life. Be sure to check out the video description in the comments below. You'll find a link to the website lesson that accompanies this video. You will also find links to the handouts and worksheets created to complement this video. And while you're there, if you found this video helpful, be sure to like it. Next time in our peer-guided DBT lessons, we'll be looking at an introduction to distress tolerance. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel where our entire DBT course is now available. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you next time. Bye for now.